Windmir was the kind of place where time moves slower than the tide. Stone cottages leaned against each other like tired elders. Fishing nets dried on hooks beside weathered doors, and wind chimes made from driftwood and glass tinkled softly from every porch. But it was the fog Windmere was known for. Not just misty mornings, but heavy, rolling veils of silver that swallowed sound and shape. Some days you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And it was down Windmere's cliffside trail, carved out of jagged limestone and shadowed by towering pine, that tragedy once walked. 10 years ago, Mara's father, a tall man with kind hands and an easy laugh, had gone out in that fog. He kissed her forehead, promised to return by dusk. He never came back. Some say the sea took him. Others whispered he slipped on the wet trail. But the truth lay buried in silence, like so many things in Windmere. Since that night, Mara never touched her father's lantern. It sat on a shelf near her window, cold and dusted by time, a silent relic of a promise broken by the waves. It was a Thursday, early October. The sky, once autumn gold, turned an ominous gray. The church bell rang 3 times. This was the storm signal. Windmere sprang into action. Doors were latched, boats hauled in, nets coiled. You could smell it, salt and rain and tension, like the world was holding its breath. Mara stepped onto her porch just as her neighbor cried out, "The skiffs! They're still down in the lower cove!" The only path there was the cliff trail, long abandoned by most and feared by all when the storms approached. The men had already gone to secure the northern docks. No one else was close, except Mara. She stood frozen. The fog was already creeping in, thick and white like rising smoke. Every memory of her father came flooding back, his boots crunching gravel, his figure disappearing into the gray, her waiting by the window. Her heart pounded like the sea against stone. She whispered, "God, I can't do this. Not again." But then, like a breath in her soul, "You don't have to walk alone. Just take the first step." As she turned to face the trail, she saw her grandmother standing silently in the doorway, holding something wrapped in a cloth. It was the lantern, her father's lantern. A wick still curled inside, a smudge of salt on the glass. Her grandmother placed it gently in her hands. It won't show you the end," she said, "but it will show you the next step, and that's all God ever promised." Mara struck the match. The lantern flickered. It smelled of old oil and memory. Then she stepped into the fog. Each step down the cliffside trail was a battle of trust. The fog clung to her like a damp cloak. The ground was slick with moss and rain. Every echo of a falling pine cone sounded like the sea stealing something away. The lantern lit just 2 or 3 feet ahead. Never more. She whispered with every step, "One more, God, just show me one more." And he did. A root avoided, a loose stone skipped, a curve taken in time. She didn't see the whole trail, but somehow she didn't need to. As the wind howled and lightning cracked across the sea, she finally heard it. A cry, thin and panicked. Not a gull, not wind. It was a child. She ran toward it, lantern swinging wildly, breath ragged. There, at the bottom of a crevice between 2 boulders, was a little boy, face scratched, leg pinned under driftwood, shivering, soaked, sobbing. "I fell," he whimpered. "I couldn't get up." She dropped beside him, lifted the branch, wrapped him in her shawl, and said what she hadn't dared to believe just minutes before. "You're safe now. I found you. Or maybe God led me to you." She carried him up the trail, step by foggy step, the lantern still glowing like a heartbeat. By the time she reached the village, people had gathered, shocked, relieved, speechless. Her grandmother wept quietly. The boy's parents fell to their knees. But Mara, she just stood in the rain, holding the lantern high, her face turned toward heaven. She didn't just save a child. She was saved too, not from death, but from fear, from the lie that said she had to see it all to trust God. Your word is a lamp at my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, verse 105. Faith doesn't mean walking in certainty. It means walking even when the fog won't lift. God didn't promise clarity. He promised company. Not a spotlight, but a lantern. And somewhere, someone is crying out in a hollow. Not for someone with all the answers, but for someone willing to carry the light, one step at a time. Never forget, you are a light bearer. And God bless you, my friends.